Hello and welcome back to Vox Terra. For today's show, I just want to reply to comments because I really appreciate getting comments, especially supportive ones, but constructive criticism, that's helpful too. So these are comments made to my show called something like Palestine History Untold, Israeli Jewish Voices for Peace Ignored dealing with the outset of the Hamas attacks on Israel and then Israel's response. So just going randomly, I'm going to start with Bella Grussi. Thanks for this well-researched piece. So refreshing to have a perspective other than that of our tone-deaf mockingbird corporate media. Appreciate the upgrade in your camera and mic. Looks and sounds great. Thank you. Shalom. Salam. So that's super cool on a lot of levels. Thank you very much. First of all, he commented on my use of Shalom Salam. I was being a bit playful there. And I want to know that Bella Grussi are one of the people who've encouraged me to, on occasion, do some of those funny accents I kind of do on the show on occasion. And also, Bella Grussi is a donor, a Patreon, a very rare breed in my world right now. And that has really helped keep my morale up, as well as help me, tangibly keep the show going. And I appreciate your comment on the corporate media and its mockingbird nature, because that's really what I'm trying to do. Is I want people to think about the fact that our media is owned by wealthy business interests and large corporations, and not focus on an outnumbered group of people, be it Jewish people or Palestinians, and focus their hate that way, but focus on how this media seems to gear us towards war and environmental pollution. Esther C., thank you also for the supportive comment, and she offered some constructive criticism about the camera, the layout, or in terms of maybe I could crop a bit better, or the stage being a little cluttered. It's all work in progress, and I want to thank her especially because, like Bella Grussi, she's somebody who's also offered some real and tangible support for this show. Thank you. And for acknowledging the hours of research I pour into these things, and largely really as a volunteer, and a big opportunity cost to myself and that of others as well, for that matter. Marty Knudsen, it's unbelievable that nobody mentions or blames the British for setting up the region for failure. That's the kind of analysis I love, looking at those underreported parts of history before we really go rattling our saber at some outnumbered group of people. And what part of what he may be referring to, I don't know, you're welcome to quote, is maybe that Balfour Agreement where Great Britain, which is actually quoted, Noam Chomsky quoted Balfour as having racist sentiment. Next, Larry Taylor. Thank you, Larry, for commenting. Now, Larry had a comment, as I remember, Larry, I think you had a comment earlier that maybe you chose to delete, but I thought it was really well written and interesting, and I'll get back to that one when I get back to another comment. But for Larry, for your present one, there's a lot of gold in here. And here, a lot of this comment, Larry, I'm thinking you brought up a really interesting point, mentioning what's the comparison between all these climate catastrophes and the death toll from war, which is actually greater. And then Larry you also lamented in the comment, planet is on fire and you've been following climate related material as long as you can remember. Well, same here, Larry. I'm going back to when I was a kid as well. And seeing all these cars and factories and the trash all piling up, and how really nothing's being done about it. And that too, excellent point. I'm seeing the same thing. And that's what really galls me about the arrogance of war, because here we are, look at the Motor 909, living this lifestyle of just disposable plastic, burning fossil fuels every day. And then to start pounding your fist, not you and me, but others pounding their fist about who the enemy is, and we're going to send missiles and send guns, when there's so much more to the story we don't know about. Next, Jeff 3Y. Well, Jeff, I always appreciate your comments. You've been commenting for a while and give a lot of insight and thought to them. And here you're mentioning, kind of keeping in line with my show, about seeing a Israeli girl who was traumatized by the Hamas attack, but saying she wanted peace and doesn't want killing of thousands of people in Gaza. And then you draw an analogy, it seems to me, between the Nakba, where the Palestinians are kicked off their land and is for the expansion of Israel, and the cultural genocide of Native Americans in Canada. But here, as I remember, Larry too earlier drew a similar analogy, only in the case of the United States. Because here you're going to see in another comment, the commentator, and this was on Facebook, and I don't think he actually watched my show, because this comment came up immediately after I posted it, not through Voxterra, but one who cares an awful lot. It's a Facebook page that I have access to and I sometimes use. And that person was Toby. And he pointed out a list of I guess looking at it from the Israeli Zionist point of view of these harms committed to Israelis over time, and that initially Israelis were coming in peace. Well, here we go to that Native American analogy, and there would have been at the time, and I'm not dismissing what you're saying, Toby, if you're watching this show, although I kind of doubt it because your comments didn't directly reply to my show, so maybe I shouldn't even be giving them airtime. But here, let's get back to how Larry and Jeff were just in their heads popping up this analogy with the Native Americans. And if that's coming into other people's heads, just average people like myself, so I'm assuming Larry and Jeff are just regular guys like me, if that's just popping in our heads, that means it's popping in a lot of people's heads. And the problem with those Native American wars, with the hindsight of history now, most Americans are going to say, oh, well, it shouldn't have been done. It was terrible. We would never do anything like that today. But you got to think, if you were living in that time, there would have been a similar narrative. There was an attack by natives on a white settlement, and that would get amplified, and then there'd be a counterattack, and the natives kept getting their land taken and pushed into reservations and have less and less room to go to, and they're so that's a interesting analogy. And then Toby Perlman also attacked Jewish Voices for Peace, or posted a meme saying they're basically bad or support terrorists. And then I guess because my video was called Jewish Voices for Peace, but I pointed out there, Toby, that I was not actually citing from that organization. I was merely saying in the generic that Jewish Voices for Peace get underreported in our media, which facilitates this war narrative. And to your point that a lot of Palestinians or Arabs and Muslims are not accepting Jewish people. Well, I don't know if it was Noam Chomsky maybe, but somebody pointed, and Noam Chomsky is one of the founders of Jewish Voices for Peace, according to Wikipedia. So whatever is bad about them, Noam Chomsky, I got a lot of respect for him. Naomi Klein's another founder. I've listened to her quite a bit. She's a big time into the environment. Going back to Larry's comment earlier, I got a lot of respect for her. So just to bring it back to Chomsky, I believe it was Chomsky who said that, hey, the argument is that the Palestinians hate us meaning Israeli Zionists, but he pointed out, hey, there's differences. I think it was Chomsky. There's different voices within the Palestinian community as there are different voices within the Israeli community. Who do you want to work with? So there I just go back to my video I just filmed today with this human rights activist, or Human Rights Watch, Jewish American, Jewish Israeli dual citizenship woman who's also partnered up with a Palestinian man, it sounds like. And she said, hey, no matter what arguments, counter arguments, civilian populations have got to be protected. That should just be a norm. Thank you so much for the comments, especially the ones who commented at YouTube, my regular stalwarts. I appreciate it. Love hearing from y'all. That's the first time I've ever said y'all on this show. And as always, until next time, peace be with you.